Thanks everyone for coming out. Welcome to Earth versus the Giant Spider, amazingly true stories of real penetration tests. My name is Rob Havelt, and I'm the Director of Penetration Testing for TrustWave Spider Labs. Over to my right, or left, my other right, is my Brazilian friend Wendell Enrique. Wendell, you want to introduce yourself?
I work on the TrustWave Spider Labs penetration team for almost 3 years, I guess. I have over 9 years on the security industry. I have found some vulnerabilities in different set of products, web application firewalls, camera, remote application systems, and probably a lot of others. I represented at Black Hat, DEFCON, OASP, and some other big conference. We are in the process of getting a patenting pending technology for a penetration test project with it, and a few other things. That's me.
And like I said, I'm the Director of Pen Testing at TrustWave Spider Labs. I've been around the security industry kind of forever. I've worked from starting up an ISP to doing TSCM to just about every possible job in system administration and information security. I've spoke at a lot of venues, and this is a great opportunity for us to speak at to you guys at probably one of the best security conferences ever, DEFCON, the greatest crowd. So what's this all about? Basically, we put together a collection of the weirdest, freakiest, and most unlikely hacks that we've ever found. And we'll walk you through like these weird, freaky, unusual, just out of the ordinary stuff. We'll let you meet the victims of these odd hacks, because some of these actually have serious implications. And we'll kind of walk you through a few of these things, and kind of wrap it up after that. So basically, we've been in a unique opportunity to see like some very real, interesting, uncommon, and very non-trivial things that can't really be found either using traditional like attacking methods, i.e. like, vulnerability exploits, or straight on technological methods, or even like ways that make sense and follow the laws of, seemingly the laws of physics. We've done this because we have a huge team that does like more than like 2,300 penetration tests in a year. But only the coolest and freakiest stuff were selected to present to you guys. So by the end of this presentation, we hope to have you thinking about these systems and applications that organizations use every day, and how even like the most basic things, security tools, security systems, coffee machines, and things like that might be used against them. So, on with Earth versus the Giant Spider. Do you want to talk about this one?
This case is a big network restaurant franchise around the world that sells food over the internet. They have some good maturity of security. So, for example, on the application, we couldn't find any cross-site scripting, cycle injection, or things like that. The application was basically created in Java and Flash, and no common parameter manipulation was working, for example, including negative values on products and things like that. However, during the transaction, we detected that the checkout was redirected to a third-party gateway, and this gateway, when get this information, processed and sent the information to a security channel directly to this company and they just got a response like approved or not approved. So what we did is manipulate these requests to change the final value of the transaction itself on the gateway, since it was redirected over JavaScript from our browser by the main application. Consequently, the final price that appeared on the website and all this stuff was the real price of the products. But when we conclude the transaction, we could put any kind of price that we would like. And they just got accepted or not. In this way, you could get almost any kind of food for any value. You think we should show this screenshot?
What?
Yeah or not?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Okay. Do you have them?
Here. No, I don't have it.
Okay.
Never mind.
Different. Okay.
So, in summing up, what, you're talking now.
Okay. Because I think the screenshots would be pretty cool to explain.
Talk to them, not me.
Yeah, well, basically, as a result of this penetration test, we could get some good amount of food delivered to our home with almost 50 cents at the end of the engagement.
One of the cool things was we actually did engage a delivery driver that came out with bags of food and everything like that and took a bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
And it was all kinds of fun. But it's just a weird thing that, you know, and kind of a bad thing to do, to let somebody kind of manipulate things and just kind of trust that everything's happening behind the scenes the way it should be. So moving on. Okay, so this one was, we're called the one PBX will rule them all kind of hack. This was a large financial institution that had a lot of different technologies in place, some new technologies, but some like ancient technologies. In the course of like testing this institution, you know, one of the things that you normally want to do is kind of dial the space. Sometimes you do it just to voicemail surf and see who's out, who's in, who's doing what people's names are, and you know, things like that. A side benefit of just kind of calling random numbers and listening is sometimes you run into something where you get a modem tone. Well, in doing this, you know, I called a number, got a modem tone, and just a weird, like, kind of series of characters and a login prompt that was kind of generic, but kind of dissecting like the series of characters and what we got back from the modem over making like several calls, figured out that it was an old Siemens Roam PBX. Well, in this case, that's great. You know, you get a PBX kind of manual. It turns out that they changed the administrator password, they changed the opera password on it, but there was one account that actually had better credentials than administrator. It was a field tech account, and they didn't change that password. When you get into the field tech account, it actually lets you go into like any user account that you want. So went into the Roam PBX as administrator, and you know, just kind of browse that. Having like done some voicemail surfing previously, I knew that the extension for the help desk. So one of the features is to like clone a voicemail box. So one of the things we did is created a new extension, cloned the voicemail box for the corporate tech support. And at the end of the day, we'd kind of listen to the various messages. Well, it turns out that like there was some dude that was traveling on the road and called in frantically to tech support after hours when they weren't picking up. asking a problem about a VPN problem. It just so happens that in a previous life, I was a certified checkpoint instructor, and I happen to know a lot about checkpoint. In a previous life, I actually sat on help desks and did checkpoint managed services. And the problem he was describing, I knew exactly what it was right away. It was a stupid settings problem. So I actually just called the guy back. I called the guy back and I walked him through his problem. First, I asked him for his username, then I asked him for his password. So that I can check and verify his account. And then I fixed his machine. Afterwards, he logged in and, he logged out and bingo, I logged in as himself, paying free credentials. The funny part about that was in the wrap-up of testing, we found out that this guy actually sent an email to the head of tech support, praising them for the wonderful tech support they got. And the quick responsiveness of the tech. So that one was kind of awesome and freaky and weird. And sometimes you just kind of have to think outside the box. But something stupid not realizing that, hey, the field tech has their own super account on this piece of antiquated technology can have kind of severe implications. So,
this penetration test on the reality happened at least three times, similar wishes like this one. We were doing an internal penetration test, and during the internal penetration test, the network segmented was very limited. We had almost very few things to test, like one open SSH server, very well updated, one Samba server that's almost without sharing, no folders, nothing, and a Windows box. Or a few Windows box that just block everything except the ping, like echo request and the echo response. Also, VLAN attack bypass or VLAN hopping was not possible on this specific customer, and neither on this other 2 or 3 that used a similar attack during the last year. However, ARP spoofing, that everybody knows, and it is very common, was present. It was possible to be executed, but it gave no juice. We couldn't get any credential or anything in special. However, during the previous external penetration test, we figured out that this customer had an external site in a data center that had a VPN SSL, and this external VPN SSL use a self-signed certificate, and they used this a lot, but we couldn't compromise during the external. So during the internal, we saw some traffic over the SSL port, and we did a HTTPS man in the middle. Since it was a self-signed certificate, probably the users did not figure out the difference. When we dumped the contents, we saw connections to this external VPN SSL server with self-signed certificates. So we just got the cookies and cloned in our box with a burp suite, and they accessed again the same external data center server. And as a result, we get a successful login on the whole VPN over SSL, getting access to file servers, applications, and a lot of stuff that was not accessible before, including credit card data and a lot of interesting stuff. So it's very interesting demonstration of how sometimes a vulnerability that you couldn't exploit from the external side and is not easily detected by the automated tool can be exploited, for example, from the inside network. It's kind of interesting because we could reproduce the same kind of vulnerability at least in 3 different customers during the last year. So this kind of vulnerabilities is the kind of vulnerabilities we would like to show you. They are kind of free, different, and not easy to find with automated tools and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's always interesting because you're taking you're taking an external, and organizations tend to think of the perimeter's the perimeter and the inside's the inside. And, we need to secure the perimeter and the things that we do to secure the perimeter, that's out there. And, that's basically our wall against the big bad internet. And inside we need to do different things. But like Wendell said, as a malicious attacker or a malicious insider could use external systems just as easily, against internal resources. There was another instance of something like akin to that, where we were taking a look at a phone directory, and from the inside of a network, and we're just able to basically get like names of people. However, on the outside, there was actually like an HR system with a vulnerability, but you had to have like people's name and their like HR code. Well, when used with the phone directory inside, it had the HR code, and the vulnerable app from the outside, gave enough information to kind of go through and like actually get like HR data from every single user at that company, including the CEO's payroll information. So those are always interesting.
And it's interesting because somehow it was internal that you have to compromise external to come back to internal.
Mm-hmm. This one, this one makes no sense, and we're still trying to figure out how this even worked. But we were taking a look at a card processor for actually like an entire country that processed most of the MasterCard and Visa transactions. And they had a transaction switch that they couldn't touch that was from the card brands, and there was kind of a war of we suspect that's not secure, no it's not, yes it is, no it's not, yes it is, kind of thing. And it was very much, they said this, they said that, kind of going back and forth. The best they could do is kind of like build a wall around it. So because of their, their idea that it wasn't very secure, they put some very restricted firewall policies in place. They were using some weird old like technology that, as it turns out, was very misconfigured. Nothing would get through to the transaction switch. It was kind of set down, and you could only actually like reach it from a couple stations inside that were kind of like the major databases. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I was getting at. Yeah. Right, and so what he's saying is, then that's exactly what we found out is, so they spent all this time like building this firewall around it on like this legacy equipment, and basically like things sourced from port 0, like being a wild card on a legacy stack, it like actually kind of sailed right through. So it turned out that the people that said like no it's not, secure was actually right because sourcing traffic from port 0, we found out a webmin interface on this transaction switch with an admin user pass pair. That's awesome. That's always the thing that you want running every financial transaction from your country from. You know, because of that, like, you know, the webmin interface, they're able to get in at an OS level and basically, like, you know, see processing for basically the whole country. So, this one's really funny. All right, so there was an external pen test, you know, just as an outside-in kind of thing. Very few services, a couple applications. There was an administrative, like, web interface.